everyone, and welcome to First Things First. I'm Jenna Wolf. This, as always, is Nick Wright. That is Chris Broussard, who is in for Chris Carter, who is not in this week, and we love having you here. Thank you so much.
I love being here. Had a ball yesterday.
Yesterday was a ton of fun. You were outstanding, and one of the reasons I like having Chris Broussard here, we always miss Chris Carter, but when he's out, having you in, is people forget that before you were NBA insider Chris Broussard, you were generalist. You covered everything. You covered everything. Newspaper, on TV. You did this type of show often.
A little bit of football.
Nice.
And so this allows you to exercise little different parts of your brain. So it's fun. I thought yesterday was great.
I love
keep me on my toes.
He does. Sure. And he said the word exercise. So I feel like he just looped me in as well. So thank you so much. Problem. That's amazing. All right, we're going to start today with the fall herd around the world. By now, this play, remember where Warriors bad boy Zaza Pachulia falls, drops, lands on Russell Westbrook's legs? It's been seen everywhere, including the league offices. Was it dirty? Nick Wright says yes. The NBA said no. Turns out the league will not discipline Zaza for the incident, saying they had a difficult time showing intent. I can only imagine your thoughts, but I will ask for them anyway. Nick, your thoughts?
I'm shocked by this. I think you're shocked by this. While I maybe wanted a harsher punishment than you did, we were unanimous. You, me, Sarah Kustak, who was here yesterday, Jenna, that is not the way a regular human being falls. And that while falling, aiming your, I guess it was his left hand for Russell's crotch, and then letting the entire brunt of his weight fall on Russell's lower legs was obviously intentional. And that's even before we get into the long, grotesque track record of Zaza Pachulia. The NBA typically gets these things right. They got this wrong. And I will go a step further on this, which is last night when the Warriors were playing the New York Knicks, a Knicks team that since they lost Kristaps Porzingis has been basically one of the tanking teams. They just have too many wins to actually get in the tanking conversation. The Warriors could have punished him on their own. The Warriors could have said, Zaza, you're not playing tonight. And they opted against it. I am shocked that the NBA, Kyrie Irving said it's got to stop. Russ said it's got to stop.
Damian
Lillard. Like, the stars of your league look at this guy as a menace. And the NBA typically is great on things like this. I knew that the NBA wasn't going to kick him out of the league. I didn't ask them to kick him out of the league. I was hopeful.
You wanted the Warriors to kick him out of the league.
I wanted the Warriors to have a conversation about, do we actually need this guy on our team? But I knew likely that wouldn't happen. But I am very surprised that the NBA didn't fine him or suspend him for taking a dirty cheap shot at the reigning MVP.
I'm a bit surprised. I wouldn't say shocked, but like you said yesterday, we talked about it. I thought he'd get a one-game suspension. I thought that was deserved because, to me, he just fell on purpose. He didn't have to fall. He didn't lose his balance. He didn't get tripped. Now, the NBA and some other players, Kevin Durant mentioned it, they thought Nick Young tripped him. Now, it's hard for me to tell. Like I said, I thought he fell on his own. But if the league believes and they saw evidence that Nick Young tripped him, I get where they're coming from, because every time a guy falls, even if he has a reputation as a dirty player, you can't just fine him or suspend him.
Let me ask you this, because all of us have tripped. All of us have fallen down when we didn't mean to. And all of us who aren't pro athletes are able to brace our fall, are able to, assuming you didn't just get hit by a car. Like, if you're walking across the street and you trip on the sidewalk and there's a puddle in front of you, even while falling, you can avoid it. Even if Nick Young led to the beginning of his tumbling, if you will, his hand placement and his body placement were not that of someone trying to avoid Russell Westbrook. It was someone trying to hurt Russell Westbrook.
Well, was he trying to hurt Russell Westbrook? I'm not going to say that. Was he trying to make Westbrook feel him and put a little pain to him? Yeah, but that happens in professional sports. I was talking with a Warriors player yesterday, texting with one, and they don't have a problem with Zaza. They feel like, look, stuff happens in this league. This is a contact sport. To single out Zaza Pachulia, because we were speculating maybe the players need to talk to him. They're like, About what? This happens in the NBA. And let me say this, because we talked yesterday, you felt like Zaza doesn't even deserve to be in the league. He's reputed as one of the dirty players in the league. But in 2016, the LA Times, Los Angeles Times, did a survey of head coaches, assistant coaches, and players. Not all of them, only about 24. Zaza was not even mentioned in the top 5 of dirtiest players. It was Matthew Dellavedova, Steven Adams of Oklahoma City, Andrew Bogut, Matt Barnes, and Serge Ibaka.
Who was Bogut playing for that year? Oh, that was when he was
2016 was with the Warriors. But so you think the Warriors are a dirty team?
No. I think when you have a finesse shooting kind of maybe softer backcourt, it helps to have this type of guy as your center. But the Pachulia, I also wonder, again, you mentioned the small sample size also. I think, was that the year? Was he with the Hawks then or the Bucks? He wasn't.
2016.
Pachulia, he wasn't a super relevant
But he's been in the league
a long time. Listen, he's been in the league over a decade.
Well, it's also a little surprising that the NBA didn't factor in past behavior at all when making this decision. They literally looked at just this play clearly as an isolated incident and said, well, I guess it's hard to see intent. Doesn't that surprise you just a little bit?
The whole thing surprised me. In 2016, Pachulia was with the Mavs, not that he had been with the Hawks and Bucks prior to that. Here is the other thing that not only surprises me, but I want to make a distinction. Because I heard my good friend, our good friend Colin Cowherd say this. I heard other people say, you alluded to it as well. We've had Bill Lambiers. We've had John Sally's. Bruce Bowen, Bruce Bowen, I'm going to not include in the category I'm about to talk about. Because there is a difference between guys who commit hard fouls and guys who take cheap shots. If Russ was in the air, right, and you want to meet him in the contest and knock him down, that is part of basketball. That is an intimidating factor, and that is a physicality that guys know come the cost of doing business in the league.
Although guys do feel like undercutting the player is incredibly dirty.
Right, and I'm not talking about undercutting. I'm talking about the hard foul where you come down hard on the guy. We know that that's part of the game, and I'm not trying to remove that from the game. But Pachulia's stuff, hitting a guy when he's prone on the ground. Look at the ball in the still image. Steph Curry's at half court with the basketball by the time this happens. Like the things that he did to Kawhi Leonard, where guys are truly defenseless, is so different than having a guy where listen, you come to the rim, you're going to be met with some force. Like, I draw an enormous distinction between that. But people talk about Lambiers' clothesline. Again, that was a very dirty play, but that's a guy going to the basket.
But Lambier also, or Robert Parrish, went up behind Lambier and punched him from behind because of how dirty Bill Lambier was. But also, look, I don't think Bruce Bowen was a dirty player, but most people did think he was a dirty player. And here's where the hypocrisy comes in. If you have that player on your team, you like it. If he's an opponent, you don't like it. We saw Greg Popovich absolutely go off on Zaza Pachulia last year when he injured Kawhi Leonard for running out under him after he took a jump shot. Bruce Bowen used to do the same thing. And Popovich defended it when the league went at Bowen. They defended it. So my point is, the Warriors don't see a problem with Pachulia. I think you're singling him out unfairly when there are a lot of players that when I can get an elbow into your gut, when I can do something that is going to make you feel me and maybe intimidate you at some point, I do it. That's what a lot of players do in the NBA.
Yesterday you brought up a really good point that maybe some of the players on his own team would start taking issue with it, thinking when there is retaliation, it'll be on us and maybe not on Zaza. But you're saying you actually texted with someone who was like, we have no problem with this. They're not worried about
because they feel like there are other guys from other teams doing similar stuff. Now, maybe not as egregious. I'm with you that I thought that was fake yesterday. I thought he fell on purpose and then tried to put his weight on Russ. Do I think he was trying to hurt him permanently or injure him for the season? No. But do I think it was a dirty play? Yes. But stuff like that happens throughout the league. I just mentioned several guys that are reputed as dirtier than Zaza.
From a couple years ago, and maybe they were, and maybe it's a bit of recency bias, but when you say I'm singling him out, I'm not the only one. Russ talked about it. Kyrie Irving talked about it. Damian Lillard talked about it. Greg Popovich talked about it. Last year's MVP vote went Russ 1, Harden 2, Kawhi Leonard 3. We have now incidents with 2 of the top 3 guys from last year, were top 3 MVP candidates, where Zaza's gone out of his way to injure them.
Well, I think we don't know that he went out of his way to injure Kawhi Leonard. We don't know that. It's a 7-footer closing out. That's a play a lot of people make.
It looked like an unnatural closeout to me, and it was unnatural enough that the NBA changed the rules after, or put an emphasis on that play in particular.
That was like the tip of the iceberg. That was the last straw.
Sure. But the last point on this, and I know that this caused some controversy yesterday. I do have a problem with the general consensus just being that's what Zaza's there for. He's there to be a goon. He's there to be an enforcer. Not only do I think there's not a place for that in today's NBA because the game has changed, there's certainly not a place for it by over-the-top cheap shots when guys can't defend themselves, and there shouldn't be a place for that on a team that supposedly is the most advanced, greatest team of the era.
You want the Warriors to get rid of him. He brings value to them.
I think it is value that they shouldn't need and they don't need. And that type of player going after the types of players that he is bad for the sport at large.
Did you like when Matthew Dellavedova was
I did not. I did not defend Dellavedova. I think he was a dirty player as well.
So he shouldn't have been playing with the Cavs?
That's
how he's in the league.
Listen, I understand. I think Dellavedova has a slightly higher skill set than Pachulia.
Well, he's a guard compared to a center.
He can shoot a little bit, but no, I didn't like what Dellavedova did. And I didn't like, by the way, that he injured, was it Kyle Korver? With an incredible, listen, Dellavedova is a dirty player as well.
Kelly Olynyk with Kevin Love. I mean, a lot of people thought that was dirty.
It was dirty.
This stuff happened. You can't kick the dude out of the league or expect his team to get rid of him because he's done something that a lot of players
for this play, at least, the NBA did not find anything wrong, did not find intent with what Pachulia did, and so now they will wait until, let's see if
wait till he injures another guy.
Coming up, are the Cavaliers getting too predictable? That's next on First Things First.